What is up, guys? It's Scott here from Moke Societies, here to drop another awesome episode for you. Guys, just to let you know, my goal by the end of this month was to hit 100 subscribers by the end of July. We are currently at 139, so awesome. Thank you guys so much for getting me there. I have an absolute pleasure doing these videos. But today, we were expecting some D-Class. Again, guys, every time we get some kind of date from some video or anything, you know, we all excited. We think it's going to be that day, and it doesn't drop. But it's okay. We know it's in the works. It's going to be coming. But today, guys, we're going to be talking about some pretty crazy things as usual. When is it not crazy, right? So today, we're just going to catch you up, give you some updates on the Epstein story and what's going on with him. We're going to look at a UFO story that has some good stuff, but I don't know if it's a distraction. It's the timing of it that makes it a little questionable. But the two big topics, two big stories we're getting into tonight are going to be about 9/11. Is there another investigation being opened for it? We're going to find that out tonight. And we're going to look into the Red Cross and see what's going on with them. Definitely some corrupt things going on with the Red Cross. And as usual, guys, we're going to jump into some Q posts that talk about the Red Cross and some other things. And that's how we're going to end tonight. So let's jump right into it. So guys, a lot of things going on as far as distractions. As you can see, the shooting out in California, not a lot of press, right? The last year with the shootings has been crazy, right? A lot of them seem to get more attention than others. This shooting, the one that happened in California at the Garlic Festival, right? The kid that did the shooting was a leftist. An actual leftist this time, not a alt-right conservative, you know. And he was more on the left side of things. And guess what? None of this has really gotten any attention. None of this has gotten anything as far as attention from the gun control people, nothing like that. So just a quick note there. So as far as distractions, let's get into Epstein and see what's going on with him and the recent news about him. So this article from the Daily Mail reads, messages left for Jeffrey Epstein suggested his friend might be procuring two 8-year-old girls that pedophile to sexually abuse. State court docs filed by victim's lawyer. So messages that were left for Jeffrey Epstein around the time the Palm Beach police first began investigating the pedophile in 2005 offer a rare glimpse into his juxtaposed worlds. There are calls from former members of the royal family details about Anne Connick designer's weekend visit to his Palm Beach mansion and multiple messages from his close friend Jean-Luc Brunel. There is one that appears to reference underage girls, another noting how much an 18-year-old woman loves Jeffrey, and another in which Brunel relays one doctor's professional opinion on how best to treat a sexually transmitted disease. That's so fucking gross. These messages were all obtained by DailyMail.com after filing an FOIA request for Palm Beach records related to Epstein's legal battles in the decade since he left prison. And so guys, this is about some notepads, some messages left on a phone as well that are coming to surface. This is again back from the case back in 2005. So let's continue here. The message pad was first obtained by police during their search of Epstein's Palm Beach mansion in October of 2005, shortly after they were tipped off to the fact that the pedophile knew he was being investigated by police. A message from Ghislaine Maxwell, see her name again, in August of that year reveals that Epstein and his age-appropriate companion were hosting Tom Ford in Palm Beach. She let Epstein's pilot, Larry, go, reads the note. And as the article continues, at 8:08 a.m. in the morning of April 1st, Brunel called Epstein and left a message which was relayed to Epstein via a note that read, "He has a teacher for you to teach you how to speak Russian. She is 2 by 8 years old, not blonde. Lessons are free, and you can have first today if you call me back." Weird shit, guys. And you know these people talk in code to protect themselves. Just like Pizza Fence. You know that's not the real name, but I don't want anything to get triggered on the good old YouTube algorithm. So these people use code words, guys. This is what they do, so not a surprise. And in light of these circumstances of the case, this message reasonably suggested to Edwards that Brunel might have been procuring two 8-year-old girls for Epstein to sexually abuse, stating one court filing submitted by Edwards and his lawyer. So guys, you do have to remember about Epstein right now in this whole entire case. Most of the mainstream media is still trying to throw this out as a Me Too movement of young girls and just being sexually abused, and all that stuff's terrible. But they either they don't know, or it's about to drop that the really bad shit that no one's talking about, the sacrifice stuff. That stuff's still to come out. So it's like they're trying to keep that narrative away from this because it gets worse, and it's gonna come out eventually, guys. So just to keep you informed about that. Now, this other article that came out about Epstein, let's see. This one came out today. The one I just showed you was from yesterday. This one reads, nervous and dazed, Jeffrey Epstein shows no sign of injury during court appearance 1 week after he was found injured in a cell as judge sets next June for start of sex trafficking trial. Now, you guys remember that story I told you guys about Epstein in the Manhattan prison that he's in, being possibly in the same prison, in the same jail cell as that cop from Otisville that killed 4 people, some cocaine ring or some weird shit like that, and he buried them in his backyard. This dude was a huge dude, looks like a Hulk, and there was rumors saying that he had gotten his hands on Epstein, maybe possibly choked him. Something about a cell phone that this ex-cop had with some like information on it, a bunch of things. But as you can see here, the headline reads, again, this is a Daily Mail article, nervous and dazed Jeffrey Epstein shows no sign of injury during court appearance 1 week after he was found injured in a cell. Remember, he was found semi-unconscious? We still don't know what's going on with that. Still to keep an eye on, but the article reads, Jeffrey Epstein will be behind bars for at least another 10 months after a federal judge set a provisional date of next June for his sex trafficking trial. So you guys are wondering, why is it going to take till next June to get these charges started? I'm going to show you. The defendant, 66, did not show any signs of injury, and there was no visible red marks on his neck after his reported suicide attempt last Tuesday. The whole thing's fishy, guys. Like, did someone try to put a hit on him? Wouldn't surprise me, but who knows? I have no idea. Federal prosecutors said during the hearing that the FBI is only beginning the process of looking at the devices seized during the raid on Epstein's $77 million Manhattan mansion earlier this month. Now, why is it going to take so long, guys? This is why. The case has already generated 1 million pages of documents in discovery, which the defense said it now needs time to review. Lawyers for both sides have met prior to the hearing to go over a possible timeline, which they presented to Judge Berman. And the article just goes back and forth between the rhetoric between Epstein's Epstein's lawyer and the prosecutors. Look, guys, look. The case has already generated 1 million pages of documents. And this is just the beginning, guys. Like, yeah, you're going to need some time to go through that stuff. Unfortunately, guys, I didn't like the news when I had heard it. I was like, fuck, man, next June? Like, that, for me, that feels like an eternity for this guy to be off somewhere, killed, God knows what. So he just has to survive that 10 months so he can get the trial. And, guys, I hope to God, I'm trying to be optimistic, but a lot of these cases this big don't usually end up in public trial, but I'm hoping this one does. So we got a lot of time in between there, so hopefully more and more is going to come to light, as I know it will be. So that is your update on Epstein. Nothing really much going on with him, except actually for this tweet I almost forgot to tell you guys about. As I was setting this up, you guys know I follow Joe M on Twitter. He's awesome. There is a story that is going around from the New York Times right now, because God forbid they fucking ever focus on what needs to be focused on. They're going to be focusing on this right now. So, their article says, Jeffrey Epstein once spoke to scientists and others of a plan to seed the human race with his DNA by impregnating sources of women at his New Mexico ranch. And you have Joe M's response to this article. Epstein is being used as the focal point for revelations of much broader cabal interference and subversion of humanity. They are referring to Nazi eugenics of many types. Remember, Nazi and cabal are the two New World Order mafia, all designed to breed a race of subservient slaves. It's a great response, and it wouldn't surprise me if Epstein was doing this, but again, this is what you have the mainstream media focusing on. Not the children, not the symbolism of the temples, none of that stuff. They just want to focus on the sexual abuse of, the young girls, not really going into how young, but, They are just reporting just enough on this, so they can't say they're avoiding the article. So just a heads up on that, guys, too. Very good. Let's move on. So this article came out a few days ago. It states, UFO. Did NASA's satellite capture an alien craft near the sun? An UFO near the sun? Question mark. An anomaly was captured by NASA's Solar and Heliospheric Observatory a few days ago. It appears to be 10 times larger than Earth. Could this be an alien craft? A few days ago, Scott C. Waring of UFO Sightings Daily found a strange anomaly which he was looking at pictures of the sun captured by NASA's Solar and Heliospheric Observatory SOHO. It could be seen on the outside of the star. When enlarged, the shape became readily apparent. According to Waring, he saw it as being arrow-like. So guys, when you see shit like this, it's not what the article is about. Sometimes it is. It's the timing of these articles. They can be used as distractions to pull people's attention away from what's going on politically, especially with Epstein right now. But let's continue. At first glance, I thought that it could be a solar flare, but it does not have a very specific outline to it. I will admit that can get the wheels turning. Scott seems to think that it's definitely an alien craft. He goes on to detail about its origin and how he thinks it was created. Now guys, some of this stuff right here I'm about to read is actually some good stuff, so let's get into it. Why all this conjecture is fascinating. Why would they be studying our sun? You would think that being advanced creatures, they would want to observe the planets in our solar system. However, one of Waring's viewers had a theory about it. The sun can be used as a power source, so the ship might be replenishing its fuel supply by getting recharged by our star, which begs the question, what material is the UFO made out of that it can hover so close to the sun? One would think it would immediately become irradiated. So, some of that stuff, guys, some of the stuff that I know about, especially about the secret programs, there are theories and some people that have said that the sun is a stargate, that these people in the secret space programs have seen craft fly right through the sun and disappear. Obviously not going into the sun, but people have said it's a stargate, which is very interesting. And I also have heard the other theory about the sun obviously being able to power up ships. And as far as how does the ship not melt, you guys have to think there are elements and technology that is thousands and thousands of years advanced than we are, so we have to think that, these ETs do have crafts that can withstand these elements, and I honestly think it's the anti-gravity technology that helps these ships go through any condition out in space. It creates that field around it where it warps space and time, so that's how it can move at breakneck speeds. But I just thought that was interesting. But there is a picture. Let's see. I'll try to show you guys.
It's below about this.
And this is really annoying me.
What do you think?
So this thing's gonna keep popping up, but it's okay. It was a tiny little. It looked like a little arrow, but again, it's always blurry. You can't really see too much of it. But again, I just wanted to show you this, guys. I've been waiting for a UFO story to pop up this whole entire week because they usually pop up when things are going on with Trump, when he's calling out human traffickers. He's been, especially since the Mueller report's been out, he's been ramping up his offense, which is great because it's honestly his time to fucking put these assholes behind bars, and he's going to. Alright, guys, so this is one of the big stories I wanted to get into here. Now, I was on Twitter last night scrolling through, right, and this is what I see, and I could not believe it. Breaking: New York fire commissioners call for new investigation into 9/11 attacks, citing overwhelming evidence of explosives. So, guys, when I read this, I couldn't really explain to you how I felt. I was excited, and I felt like I had butterflies at the same time. I couldn't breathe for a moment, only because, for me personally, I guess you could say I became a conspiracy theorist when 9/11 did happen. And I was in 6th grade, and I won't ever forget where I was when it did happen. I was just starting middle school, and we had all went home that day. And after all the years, all the shit that this country went through, the wars, and I'm just like, something never felt right about these attacks, how it was set up. And taking criminal justice classes and talking to, and I live in New York, So I talked to a lot of NYPD detectives and officers that were involved with 9/11 and cleaning it up and investigating and all that stuff. And everything that they told me just never sounded right. How the communications between the police and fire department, that wasn't a thing back in the day. And just how the air traffic control just led to these planes crashing these buildings. It seemed like a lot of things had to be set up prior to these events. And I'm assuming a lot of the guys that are watching this channel, all you guys out there, they don't believe 9/11 is as told in that fucking report. That's full of shit. So this is big. And if you guys ever want to see an awesome documentary on 9/11, it's an older one. I think it came out in 2007, but it's called Loose Change. It used to be on Netflix a long time ago, but they took it down for obvious reasons probably. But for me, it was one of my favorite documentaries on 9/11. So guys, super exciting stuff. I'm going to get into the article actually that talks about this and how it came about that these commissioners got together and they want to reinvestigate it. And here we go. And so, it was on July 24th, 2019, nearly 18 years after the horrific attacks that traumatized the nation and changed the world forever. The Franklin Square and Munson Fire District, which oversees a volunteer fire department serving a hamlet of 30,000 residents just outside of Queens, New York, became the first legislative body in the country to officially support a new investigation into the events of 9/11. The resolution, drafted and introduced by Commissioner Christopher Gaioa, was unanimously, there we go, approved by the 5 commissioners. And here's a picture of that, guys. The impact of 9/11 on the community extends well beyond the victims and their grieving families. On September 12, 2001, the Franklin Square Fire Department was called in to assist with the massive rescue and recovery effort that was just getting underway. Countless members of the department, including Gaioa, whatever his name is, and Commissioner Philip Malloy, then rank-and-file firefighters, spent weeks on the pile searching in vain for civilians and fellow responders who might still be alive. Today, Malloy is one of the thousands suffering chronic health effects. And as you guys know, Trump helped extend the 9/11 money for all the people that are affected until like almost 2100, something ridiculous. Another awesome thing he's done. This is a picture of Hetzel, one of the fire. It says Memorial to Thomas Hetzel, a member of the New York Fire Department in Franklin Square. He died on that day, unfortunately. Huge gratitude to all these guys, police, fire department, and our veterans. Always huge gratitude. And as the article continues, this is where it gets good. Besides the commissioners' desire to see justice done for their fallen brothers and deceased neighbors, the driving force behind the resolution was a petition filed last year with the United States Attorney for the Southern District of New York, Geoffrey S. Berman, by the Lawyers Committee for 9/11 Inquiry, outlining the evidence of the World Trade Center's explosive demolition on 9/11. And you guys, here's the term, explosive demolition. And if you guys remember, the way those buildings fell down, and I've seen way too much evidence of civil engineers, army engineers, all in agreement saying the way those buildings fell and collapsed in on itself was a controlled demolition. And if you watch anything go on YouTube and you type in controlled demolition, you watch how those buildings fall. They didn't hit barely any other buildings around them, and it completely fell perfectly inside on each other. And if you, again, YouTube any video of it that says controlled demolition, you'll see all the buildings have the same thing in common. They all fall perfectly inside each other. So just, I don't think that explosive demolition, those two words, that would not a coincidence. Continue on here. The U.S. Attorney's Office notified the Lawyers Committee in November that it would indeed comply with the federal statute requiring the U.S. Attorney to represent the petition for a special grand jury. The news set off a wave of hope among those paying attention that the wheels of justice were finally beginning to move in the right direction. Adding a surge to that wave of hope, the Franklin Square resolution declares the fire district's full backing of the presumably ongoing grand jury investigation in Lower Manhattan, while also proclaiming the district's support for any and all efforts by other government entities to investigate and uncover the full truth surrounding the events of that horrible day. Speaking to those still present after the meeting, Gaioa made it clear that this was his first step in a long process. Their goal now is to get every fire district in the state to go on record supporting a new 9/11 investigation. And the quote from him states, "We're a tight-knit community and we never forget our fallen brothers and sisters," Gaioa said. "You better believe that when the entire fire service of New York State is on board, we will be an unstoppable force." And guys, that is fucking awesome, awesome news. Like, this couldn't have made me happier, because with everything going on, with the deep state being taken down, Trump going after these child traffickers, we have Epstein, who we are hoping is going to throw the rest of these fucking scumbags under the bus. Man, how awesome would it be once the swamp's cleaned out, just not in our country but around the world. And the cherry on top, to have 9/11, the real explanation of what happened behind 9/11, exposed to the American people. I can't think of any more healing for our country than that, guys. The 9/11 thing, I have friends that went to war, family that went to war because of 9/11 and all that shit, guys. And it was a money grab. It was all deep state. It was distractions, guys. And it's terrible that they had to go through that. But again, I'm more than grateful and thankful to them anytime I see one. They're really the best. They're the best of us. And the reason why we can do things like this today. So it's the least I could do. Get the truth out. But one thing, guys, before we switch topics, before we jump into Q, I'm going to show you this video here. Now, I couldn't find the interview myself. You guys need to follow this guy. His name is Quite Frankly. He's a New York native. I have to call him to a show because I just love his content. I watch him almost every night with my son. He is the fucking man. I'm going to show you a clip about Trump talking about the towers on 9/11, and we're going to jump right into this. Here we go.
Now, I want to play one other thing for you. This has nothing to do with anything that Chris Cillizza just brought up. But this is another thing that Donald Trump, it's less than 2 minutes long, that an interview that Donald Trump had given right after 9/11 too, about what he was thinking about the buildings. I want you to listen to this.
Builder, particularly of great buildings in the city. There's a great deal of question about whether or not the damage and the ultimate destruction of the buildings was caused by the airplanes, by architectural defect, or possibly by bombs or aftershocks. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Well, it was an architectural defect. You know, the World Trade Center was always known as a very, very strong building. Don't forget, that took a big bomb in the basement. Now, the basement is the most vulnerable place because that's your foundation. And it withstood that. And I got to see that area about
that was
3 or 4
1993.
days after it took place, because one of my structural engineers actually took me for a tour because he did the building. And I said, I can't believe it. The building was standing solid, and half of the columns were blown out. I mean, so this was an unbelievably powerful building. If you know anything about structure, it was one of the first buildings that was built from the outside. The steel, the reason the World Trade Center had such narrow windows is that in between all the windows, you had the steel on the outside. So you had the steel on the outside of the building. That's why when I first looked, and you had big, heavy I-beams, when I first looked at it, I couldn't believe it because there was a hole in the steel. And this is steel that was, you remember the width of the windows of the World Trade Center, folks. I think you know, if you were ever up there, they were quite narrow. And in between was this heavy steel. I said, how could a plane, even a 767 or 747, or whatever it might have been, how could it possibly go through the steel? I happen to think that they had not only a plane, but they had bombs that exploded almost simultaneously, because I just can't imagine anything being able to go through that wall. Most buildings are built with the steel is on the inside around the elevator shaft. This one was built from the outside, which is the strongest structure you can have, and it was almost just like a can of soup.
Like a can of soup.
Like a can of soup. Just like my man here, Frank, says. Now, guys, Trump has helped build the New York City skyline. He's been a New York native for a very long time. That's where he's known he's from. He's worked with engineers. He has people. He knows how to build a building. He knows what makes it strong. And you have a man here that's talking about how could a plane go through it that easily, that whole building, right? And he said there had to have been bombs. And if you guys watch that documentary that I told you to watch, it's called Loose Change. The scientists that studied the remains and the steel beams, you know what they found on those beams all over the place? They found particles made of thermite, military grade thermite. And you can find that, it's all over online, and there's documentation of it. Scientific fact that they found thermite all over these beams, which could melt through these steel beams and cause it to collapse in itself. So there you go. there you go. Not much else to say there. You guys can do your own research. Let me know what you guys find, because I would love to know. Because this 9/11 stuff is fantastic, and I hope it gets exposed one day. Alright guys, so we're going to be getting into some of the most recent Q posts. Again, I'm not going through all of them. The ones I want to focus through on today are the Red Cross. Q is pointing them out for a very good reason. I'm going to show you a video that an Anon took of these cases that he found with the Red Cross on it. Here we go. Holy shit, look at that. Now that writing looks like it's Arabic on that piece of paper that was on that case. And they're walking into another room, guys. Look at these cases of cash. Look how much cash that is. It's crazy, right? Nuts, right? So Q posted that from an Anon on 8chan here. It says video of Red Cross smuggling cash is unrelated to the Freedom Stringer in previous drop, which is this. I'm not going to go into that right now, but so they dropped this yesterday, right? So they're bringing attention to the Red Cross, and underneath it says U.S. taxpayers are paying for it all. Paris Accord scam, Red Cross scam, foreign aid scam, war scam, trillions, trillions, billions, guys, billions. So there's got to be more to this, right? So why is Q pointing this out? We're going to scroll up, and we're going to be going to Q post 3561, and they drop 4 articles here. And Q says, the more you know, mainstream coverage, question mark, when you control the media, you control public opinion. So guys, what do you always see on mainstream media with the Red Cross? Always donate, especially around Christmas, right? They're always out there with their bells and all of that shit. So I found Praying Medic. Again, he's an awesome follow here on Twitter. He breaks down a little bit of what's going on with these Q posts, and we're going to jump into it. Yesterday, Q posted links to 3 documents in an article by NPR about the Red Cross. The first document points to a review of the finances of the International Federation of the Red Cross and Red Crescent Societies in Geneva. And you can see here's the screenshot. Mine's just in black because I have night eye on my computer to help my eyes. But this is just a breakdown of some of their expenses. Not going to get really into all of it. Again, guys, this is a huge, humongous document. I'm going to link all this stuff in the show notes for you guys to research on your own if you want to look into it, which is totally fine. It's up to you. So they show this. And the next link that Q dropped, this is the link right here. Chuck Grassley proposed a bill in April that would give Congress oversight of the Red Cross. The bill was in response to the Red Cross resistance to allowing the Government Accountability Office to review its finances. So when we go into that article, this is what I just highlight some of the things I found here that were interesting. U.S. Senator Chuck Grassley of Iowa and Rep. Benny Thompson of Mississippi today introduced legislation to give the congressional watchdog arm complete access to American Red Cross records to oversight purposes. The Red Cross has shown an unwillingness to answer questions in the past. This legislation strengthens transparency to help make the Red Cross more accountable to the public. The Red Cross has been a competent of disaster response for decades, but that does not put them above congressional oversight. Pretty some good stuff right there. Love it. And this right here was the third link. And the third link is to a 300-plus page letter from Chuck Grassley to Senate Finance and Judiciary Committees about his findings regarding the way American Red Cross spends money and problems he's seen with transparency. 300-page letter, guys. Again, I will put this in the notes if you guys want to research it yourself. It's gigantic though, so have fun with that. Now I was pulling up some articles recently about the Red Cross, and you'd be shocked at what I found. This was the one that Q linked to. Red Cross spent 25% of Haiti donations on internal expenses. The American Red Cross spent a quarter of the money people donated after the 2010 Haiti earthquake, or almost $125 million, on its own internal expenses, far more than the charity previously had disclosed, according to a report released Thursday by Iowa Senator Chuck Grassley. Again, that's the guy we just read about. The report also says the charity's top officials stonewalled congressional investigators and released incomplete information about its Haiti program to the public. It concludes there are substantial and fundamental concerns about the Red Cross as an organization. The report follows a nearly year-long investigation by the Iowa Republican and his staff, launched after coverage by NPR and ProPublica of the Red Cross Haiti response. The venerated charity raised nearly $500 million after the disaster, more than any other nonprofit, but an ambitious plan to build housing resulted in just 6 permanent homes, NPR and ProPublica found. Now, guys, just to think about this, who is heavily involved with Haiti? The Clintons. Think about that one. The charity insisted to congressional investigators that $70 million spent on program expenses, including funds to oversee and evaluate its Haiti programs, but Grassley's office found that the charity isn't able to provide any financial evidence that oversight activities in fact occurred. Red Cross CEO Gail McGovern told Grassley's office the charity gave the Government Accountability Office everything that they had asked for during an earlier review. The report, however, says the organization did not provide everything requested, contrary to Ms. McGovern's multiple claims that it did. The Red Cross has kept the charity's own internal investigations and ethics unit severely undermanned and underfunded. That's not a coincidence, that is on purpose. The report says, and the charity appears to be reluctant to support the very unit that is designed to police wrongdoing within the organization. And they go into more and more about how they're trying to hide things. So guys, you have to think about, what do we see, what does media push, right? We have to donate to cancer, to, all these terrible diseases, these donations, all these kids that are being just, damaged, and, they're alone, they're sick, and a lot of them are, there's no doubt about that. But guys, a lot of this money is not being tracked. I don't give any of my money to any of these foundations, because I know there's technology out there that can cure any illness, and the fact that we haven't come up with our own cure for cancer and all that stuff is absolutely ridiculous, and it's being completely suppressed. All those ideas are being suppressed. They don't want the cure to be found. Why would they want that? That's loss of money. So what I was saying to you before with those cases on the video that I showed you of the guy filming the cases with all the cash, it looked like there was Arabic writing on it. And I don't know where the Q post is now, guys, but I remember seeing a Q post that said, talking about Red Cross being involved in North Korea, China, the Arabic states, Saudi Arabia, and Iran. So what is this money really fueling? Where is it going to? Whose hands is it transferring to back and forth? These questions are being hidden. The answers to these questions are being hidden. And now there's oversight being pretty much forced on them by this congressman who's fucking awesome by doing this, and figuring out where this money is really going to. Is it fueling human trafficking, child trafficking? Is it fueling terrorists? We don't know. Some good questions to ask though, and some things to figure out, I would say, right? So this is what's going on with them, guys. In this last article about the Red Cross, this one was shocking to me. Red Cross executives doesn't know what portions of donations that went to the Harvey relief. What? Again, this was from August 2017, and these guys, these things happening right now are coming up uncoincidental, I guess you could say. There's no coincidence of this happening. The timing of this is awesome. As Americans are opening their wallets and donating to relief efforts in the aftermath of Hurricane Harvey, one of the most prominent charities is the American Red Cross. But donors might be surprised to learn the Red Cross doesn't make clear what percentage of their dollars will go directly to helping the victim of the storm. Dating back to 2014, NPR and ProPublica have reported the Red Cross misstated how donor dollars are spent. And here's an interview, again, with the vice president of the Red Cross. She said, "We are committed, I am committed, my team is committed to using our resources and donor dollars in a way that best helps the people of Texas," said Kaiserman, Vice President of Disaster Operations and Logistics. Kaiserman said that as of Wednesday morning, the Red Cross had spent $50 million on Harvey relief, mainly on 232 shelters for 66,000 people. Chang, this is the reporter. Through donations, how much of every dollar actually goes to relief? This is the vice president, guys, responding. Yeah, I don't think I know the answer to that any better than the chief fundraiser knows how much it costs to put a volunteer downrange for a week, and how many emergency response vehicles I have on the road today. So I think if he was on this interview and you were asking how many relief vehicles in Texas, I don't think he knows the answer, and I don't know the answer to the final financial question, I'm afraid. You're the fucking vice president, and you don't know how much relief is actually going from the donations? Come on, man. Come on. So, the interviewer pressed on. She said that NPR had reported that 25% of the money donated to Haiti to the American Red Cross after the 2010 earthquake went to internal spending. And they asked, is this happening? Kaiserman said, it's not something I would have any visibility on. And you notice all these bigwigs are masters at deflecting and saying, oh, that's not my department. I wouldn't know that. I can talk about what it costs to deliver certain relief services. Yeah, says the interviewer. But the way the Internal Revenue Stream works, you don't know what portion of that amount. Kaiserman, not really. You don't know what portion of the total amount is for relief? Kaiserman states, no, I really don't. I wish I could answer your question, but it's not something I have visibility on in the role that I play in this organization. She asked him if he has visibility on any efforts by the Red Cross to reduce the amount of money spent solely on internal cost. And he states, the folks I work for are very, very attentive to cost effectiveness and cost efficiencies and making sure that as much as every dollar that we spend on an operation is client facing, says Kaiserman. Yeah, but you don't know, you know they're very attentive and cost effective, but you don't know exactly how much of the fucking donations that you're receiving from millions and millions of people from across the world. You don't know how much of that is actually going to relief. But 125 million of that money is going towards internal things. What the fuck, guys? Are you serious? This is what we're dealing with, and this is just one organization. This is just one, guys. It boils my blood. It really does. These organizations that are painted as being, beacons of light and hope and relief for people that actually need it, and the money does go to them, but how much of it? Could there be more? Could there be more done, or is it just lining the pockets of these assholes, or is it fueling terrorism? We don't know. We're gonna fucking find out. So, we have that. Alright guys, and just to tie this video up, we're going to be looking at the rest of some of these Q posts, which are great. Meme Psalm 78:45, again referring to the Bible verse. He sent among them swarms of flies which devoured them and frogs which destroyed them. Psalm 78:45, and again the awesome pictures of the fly on Hillary's face, the fly on Obama's lip, and then you have Pepe the Frog here. The meme of all memes. And this right here, this is the one that got me excited as well. Q links to Pope's tweet on human trafficking. It says, Godfather 3, it's going to be biblical. It's like, oh shit. What does that mean? And guys, when we go to it, this is what we got here. Pope Francis says, let us pray that the Lord will free the victims of human trafficking and help us to respond actively to the cry for help of so many of our brothers and sisters who are deprived of their dignity and freedom. #end human trafficking. And since Q linked it, every fucking Q follower on here went to his Twitter and just bombarded him. Absolutely bombarded him. I spammed the shit out of his account. And you can see here there's a picture that says, let us pray that all children will be protected from the predators within and without the church. You have Trump here running with the two babies, and Hillary, the fucking disgusting evil monster that she is. So And guys, remember just from my last video with Mother Teresa, there are beliefs, and I truly believe this, that she was funneling children, because we know she's being investigated for selling babies to parents for large amounts of money. How many kids were actually being funneled to the Vatican that no one knew about? And God knows what was going on with those priests there. Or being sold to make money for the church. Either way, it's still fucked up. So, Q posted this. Guys, there's so much in the hopper to be excited about. These are truly, truly amazing times. And if you guys haven't heard yet, there's going to actually be a Great Awakening rally at the Lincoln Memorial on September 11th coming up. I work all the time. I have a family, so I won't be able to make it. But guys, that would be something to go to if you can absolutely make it. That's gonna probably be an event that you'll probably remember for the rest of your life. There's probably gonna be live streams. There's a lot of big people in our community, the Anons and all that are doing this. They're gonna be going, and I'm sure it's gonna be an awesome time. I'm sure there's gonna be live feeds of it, which I will watch, because it's an event that should be remembered, and especially on 9/11 with everything going on, which I just talked to you about. The investigation is being re-ramped up to look into 9/11 again. So that's going to be it for me tonight, guys. Again, thank you for the support. Thank you for supporting independent media. Thank you for not listening to the fucking TV. Please turn that TV off. You can tell mainstream media to go fuck off. Please go on their Twitters. Shut them down with truth. If you guys like what you are seeing and you want more content, please subscribe to this channel. Share it, like it, tell all your friends and family about this, because it's only going to get better as the days go on. Again, guys, I'm at 139 subscribers. I would love to be 150 by the end of this week. I think we can hit it. Get the word out there, guys. Spread the truth. Start red pilling everybody that you can, because the Great Awakening is happening, and we are full steam ahead, guys. Full steam ahead. And until then, stay woke.